Listen.
Mountains. The unexplained. Synchronicity. EVP.
So why are you?
I heard that.
Absolutely fascinating.
What are midnights? Is it real? What do you think?
I love you.
The unseen.
I'm alright.
1111. Who or what are mutilating cattle?
Listen.
Poltergeists. Your stories. Your experiences. Listen close.
Hi, this is Lia Ramses, and you're listening to Underworld. Tonight we will be discussing electronic voice phenomenon, otherwise known as EVP, a phenomenon where recorded audio often picks up the subtle voices of what some say are spirits just beyond our realm. What you are going to listen to now are examples of recordings that have captured the voices of spirit, and then we'll speak to Australia's foremost authority on EVP, Mr. Robert Smith. Listen.
Thank you. It's not what's going.
Rob Smith is a former Uniting Church minister and funeral celebrant. Rob believes his years in the church and his training in grief counselling have made him more receptive to contact from the ethereal realms, especially in the form of EVPs or electronic voice phenomena. Hello Rob, thank you for joining us tonight on Ghost Radio.
Good evening, Leo. It's a delight to be here, and good evening to all your listeners out there.
Rob, you're a bit of an EVP magnet, aren't you?
It sort of happened that way. I didn't believe in a lot of this stuff a couple of years ago. I was very probably anti-spiritual in a lot of my understandings, but it's certainly turned around now for me. I do tend to attract both a lot of orb photographs now, and also a lot of voices on my tape recorders wherever I go.
How many EVPs have you got now?
About 1,000.
1,000?
About 1,000, and I've got a number of those are actually one-off comments from people talking to me directly and using my name. So.
And why? How did you just get up one day and decide, I think I'll do an EVP today, or was it by accident, or?
Well, actually, I somehow feel a little bit committed now to being available, because since I seem to have attracted a strong spiritual base of responses, I feel somehow that I've got to keep doing that. So I've disciplined myself to do it every day, and to take tape recorders wherever I go. So I usually sit down and run the tape and ask some questions. It looks a bit strange walking around with a tape recorder. People don't know who you are, but I do it rather discreetly these days, yep.
And what prompted you to do the first one?
I was just mucking around on my computer one time, and I started to hear strange noises in the background, which I thought was a disk problem or something like that. But I actually heard voices coming out of the noise of my computer. So I did a bit of exploration and discovered the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena. That started to make some sense of the noises I was receiving. From then I just got an old tape recorder and just ran it and asked a few questions, which felt pretty silly, I must admit, at the time, just talking to empty space. And I started to get responses, and I received eventually a recording of my mother, who died back in 1989, and my grandfather in the same year. In their voices and idioms, so that rather blew my mind away, I must admit.
So the first EVP that you got, the noises from the computer, were you freaked out?
Absolutely. Well, actually, I sat there, Lia. I heard these voices. I fell off my chair. I really just couldn't believe it. It was just beyond anything that I could ever comprehend at that point.
Because I imagine that's probably people who know about EVP and have decided, I think I'll give that a go. That's probably one way that they have discovered how to have EVP. But the other half would be just like yourself, who think, what is that strange noise?
Absolutely. Well, I thought it was a noise to start with, and I think my initial response was to try and prove some sort of so-called rational explanation of what was happening. And the more I delved into it, the more I couldn't tie it down to an everyday event. And so I had to start looking at other ways of thinking about it. But it's a pretty weird experience. I don't know if you had that same experience, but it doesn't fit into your mindset very well.
And how did you feel when you got the EVP from your mum?
Oh, I felt absolutely staggered that my mother, who had no longer had any larynx and had left this earth some 14 years ago, could actually say good day to me. And knowing her voice, her English idiom, and that was just an incredible experience for me. So the background to that, Lia, was that I was in ministry up in the country, Victoria, at the time when she died, and I wasn't there at the time of death, and I probably felt a little bit guilty at the point of not being there and supporting at that time. So I think it was a way of Mum coming through just to offer some comfort to me and to enable me to move on a bit. So in some ways it was grief counselling for me at a time when I couldn't attend.
Yeah, so she was letting you know it's okay, Rob.
Exactly right. It tells me now that people can reach out from beyond the grave and offer solace and comfort, and also offer freedom to people who are stuck in some sort of mindset here. So I found it completely liberating, and my grandfather's been talking to me quite a bit over a number of years, offering some support always. So I think our families, as they move on, sometimes stick around to give us some assistance.
You mentioned your ministry. How do you believe that your time in the ministry and being a funeral celebrant and a grief counsellor has helped you in this realm, attract, EVPs and things?
I think what it's done is enabled me to deal with the emotion of loss and death more so in dealing with a number of people over many years. It's made me receptive to the way people feel at the time of loss and the time of death, and I think because of those experiences, I've just become very open to these experiences. I think if you jump in the deep end, which I did often then, you open yourself up to these, more so to these possibilities. I mean, I don't have any standard answer for this. I think it was just the preparation I was meant to go through in order to become who I am today.
Yeah.
But it was being open, sharing feelings of people, being moved by people's grief, and learning to incorporate that within myself a bit. But I think it's very hard to answer, but I think that's how it happened. So,
what type of equipment does somebody need to be able to set themselves up to receive their own EVPs?
Right, the first one, I very much believe that the medium in this is the person himself. I think we still become mediumistic in the sense of who the person is, but we use electronic devices such as tape recorders or other background noise in order to record the voices. So basically I use an IC recorder, which is just a standard Sony recorder. It's a B100 or a B16 is their catalogue numbers, and one has a voice-activated response on it, so I can actually leave it running, and the spirit will actually, or spirits will actually activate those tape recorders for me. So I can ask a question and leave it and they'll record. So basically just a standard recorder. IC I find is the best. Some of the tape recorders are a little bit noisy, the reel-to-reel. And I also record directly on my computer now, so I just do a cheap microphone directly into my PC and just record on that.
And where should you do it? In the quiet, at night, or does it not matter?
No, spirit is around all the time. I prefer to do it in busier areas. Actually, I went to the local grocers a couple of weeks ago and recorded a number of spirit people down there. One gentleman said, I haven't got a barcode, I couldn't get out, so I think we still maintain our sense of humour in the afterlife. But yeah, I find cemeteries a bit dead, excuse the pun. I was down at Apollo Bay, which is in Victoria, and we went down there, but I did get some recordings around the cemetery area, but I prefer areas where people frequent more. They tend to have more energy levels there in order to communicate.
Because one of the theories, of course, is people who experience hauntings notice cold spots, and one of the theories is that the entity uses the energy around it to be able to communicate. Is that what you kind of mean, that if we're in a place with lots more energy, then the entity has more energy to draw on to be able to get better transmissions through?
I think that the more history a place has as far as human involvement, leaves enough energy for manifestations to occur that way. And as you know, with the ghosts, you either get the serial repeat, non-interactive type response, or you get very much the interactive spirit who's passed on. But yeah, I think we're finding, particularly in the EVP research area, that basically the long-term, high emotional level areas tend to be the most susceptible to ghost appearances.
So do you have any theories on how or indeed have they told you how the entity manipulates the white noise to be able to get a EVP through?
Okay, as far as our understanding goes, the etheric body manipulates the electromagnetism that's around our physical world in order to create a response to us. So basically, electromagnetism is basically a vehicle for the communication to occur through to us.
Right.
And we record that and basically remove the background noise in order to get the voices. And a lot of them are reversible. I mean, I don't waste any of my recordings. I just play them backwards, and I still get a continuation of forward speech in both directions. So they use every ounce of energy available.
So you can play a message, an EVP one way, and it says something, and then you can reverse it, and it says something else backwards.
It says something else forwards.
Interesting.
Yes, we don't. There's the rules. The energy rules there don't apply as they do here. So I can. Yeah, it's just like a record. In the old days of the vinyl record, we used to turn it over and play the B side. Well, the B side runs forward the same way as the A side did. That's
really intriguing.
I know.
So, what type of things do they say?
Basically, they're telling me how they are. I'm getting a number of responses saying that they're okay where they are. I also get various statements about how people died and what happened to them, and the shock of actually passing over. But I think the message coming through more and more is that it turns out to be a positive experience, and there is life after physical death, and people just want to communicate the fact they're still with us.
And you mentioned that you ask questions and they reply?
Yes. I mean, it's often difficult to get a continuity in EVP because you get a lot of one-off statements, but I think basically at this stage it's because of the number of entities that want to come through, so we get all bits and pieces at times, but more often than not I get one-off statements, and they are directed towards me because I use my name so often when they're doing that. So it's not like I'm picking up something just floating around the like extraneous radio waves, because it's very personal and very direct.
Okay, Rob, we'll just stop there for a break, and when we get back, I think I'll have you pay us a couple of your EVPs.
I'll be delighted to. Thank you, Leah.
Ghost Radio. Great interviews, edge news, top hits, ghosts and UFOs. You know, the stuff the other guys won't touch. Even chupacabras. Listen to Ghost Radio.
Hi, I'm Lia Ramses of Haunted Australia. Join me here on Ghost Radio when I present my program, Underworld. I'll be talking with many of Australia's fascinating researchers and investigators of the paranormal and cutting-edge science. I'll be talking to, amongst others, Rob Smith, and finding out why he's such an EVP magnet. David Clements, an ordinary man who discovered he had an extraordinary gift of healing. And Jason Haxton, owner of the haunted ancient Jewish Dybbuk box. Okay, and we're back with Rob Smith, who is going to play us... well, Rob, you play us something and then tell us how it is, what it is that you got and how you got it.
Absolutely, okay. This was a recording with my voices up front, and it's just a couple of our spirit friends saying goodnight to me one night. So I'll just play it twice over, and I'll come back. Here we go. Good night, everyone.
Okay, I heard that. The beginning was good night, everyone. Is that right?
Exactly right. So
Yeah.
that was me saying good night. That was my voice up front, and then we had that other voice coming through. Now, this was in the local grocers I just mentioned earlier on, that I was walking around the various shelves and aisles around there, and I got this particular recording. Again, I'll play this twice and just come back and mention what I hear it saying. That one came through to me as Hello Robert, which is obviously personal directive. It's Viv, which is a female name, from Richmond. Now, Richmond's a suburb of Melbourne, and it's obviously she was somewhere over visiting the store that day when I was there.
At the grocers?
At the grocers.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. As one of them said, as I said before, someone said I didn't have a barcode, so they seem to be au fait with the latest technology with scanning items in and out of the grocers. And one of these entities was wondering how they're going to get out without a barcode. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll play that recording right now. Here we go. We haven't got a barcode. There we go. Okay, we'll just do this one. This is someone called Dud who actually said good day to me last year. Here we go. Okay, so he said, I got an EVP after that saying he was into Phil Martha, but I'm still not going to attach Dudley Moore to this. Just say, well, that's what I got.
Rob, we'll try a bit of an experiment where Rob is going to play an EVP. I'd like people to respond to Rob's email, or indeed to me, and tell us what you think you heard. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, here we go. I'll play this one right now. I'll play it twice. Okay, that's a rather aristocratic lady who said something. Can I share that with you, what I hear, or do you want to just put it out there and not say anything?
Just put it out there,
Okay.
and don't say anything. And I'd like listeners to listen to again. Obviously, the program is a downloadable archive, and listen to it. Run it through your own headphones, run it through your own stuff, and tell me what you think it said, or tell Rob indeed what you think it said. And Rob, you can email me what you think it is, and that way it'll be a good experiment to see what people are
Absolutely,
hearing.
and what we could do every now and then, we'll just put one up with nothing on there and let people interpret it, and that may create some interest and excitement about getting involved. No, that's a great idea.
Now, Rob, do you get a bit of an ear now for what they're saying, or do you have to spend quite some time trying to listen and figure out what you think they're saying?
Certainly have an ear for listening and picking up the voices and the way that they're recorded now. I still have problems at times discerning the particular message, only because a lot of it is to do with background noise and conditions of the time. So you have to eradicate some of that noise in order to hear the entity coming through. Also, there's a problem with, obviously, energy levels can fluctuate a bit. The amazing thing is my voice can often be modified on a recording also, so I can record my voice and find out that it's actually been changed and modified on the replay. And people often, there's some disagreement overseas whether entities can actually manipulate files further, but I believe you record them once you get a recording. When you actually transfer those files to a PC software like Goldwave, which I use, there's another process that takes place, I think, in the uploading of those files, and I think that entities can again influence the recording at that point. But I mean, that's further study needed for that.
So they can actually insert or create another EVP.
They can create or modify an existing EVP, correct?
Really, that's really interesting. You have examples of this, or this has happened to you?
Yes, it happened to me. And I'll just make a comment now. This is another gentleman who sort of liked the way I spoke. Here we go. I'll speak. Here we go. I was just saying thank you at the end, and someone said, I love your model English, Robert. The interesting factor about that is that model English is not a term that's often used. I don't think I've ever used model and English together in a sentence. And so they've probably taken my vowel and consonant setup and actually modelled it to make that statement. So, so again, to me, that proves in some way that not only are these personal, but they are messages that are not directly unconscious or subconscious for the person running them, because it's not in the idiom of my makeup to make a comment like that.
Well, that was my next question. How can you prove that you are not picking up radio transmissions or background noise or interference of some way? How does a listener know that what they have is a genuine EVP? Can you give them some hints or some understanding?
I can actually give you some points that I've actually discovered in all this. I've got 7 points that I found over the years. Firstly, that many statements that I've recorded have a personal greeting format. So it seems to me they often use the name of the person who's doing the recording. Over 90% of my EVP are standalone personal statements, not random snippets of conversation. So you'd expect when you pick up radio commentary or something like that to get in the middle of a broadcast or something and actually not get the full statement or sentence. That doesn't occur. Also, even with foreign languages, you can actually get English recorded in foreign language channels, which come through in my personal statements. Most recordings relate to my current time setting and existing a physical situation. For example, I get good evening at night, I get good morning. Go back to Loughton, or the comment I got was my birthplace in England. As I said, I recorded about the grocery shop on the barcode. I received posthumous contact from my mother, grandfather and grandmother that I can confirm through their vocal style, their intonation, their English accents and the quality of voice. It's very hard to see those floating around in radio signals over many years when the person has not been living in the physical. So and to come through to one person, to 3 members of one's family, I think is fairly substantial in improving something like that exists. Most recordings I've received are positive in nature, though some can be emphatic and direct. And a lot of people worry about the evil or the demonic side of this. I'd probably just like to remind people that most people really don't change too much on passing. They still have their same personality traits, their negative or positive connotations or lifestyles. I think we get a few jokers out there, but I really don't believe that demonic really exists in that sort of understanding. I think a lot of it has to do with the fear factor that people who record these can often have, because obviously this can be pretty scary and way out for some people.
Do you think white noise has got a lot to do with that? The film, of course, which starred Michael Keaton. Did it hinder or help you with your EVP studies? Absolutely hindered me. I found it a terrible film to promote the correct nature of EVP. They were making a horror story. They were out to scare people, so they used something like EVP, which is probably fairly unknown to most people as a medium to do that. But what it did do, the positive side of it all, is that it got EVP promoted internationally and gave me an opportunity to speak to a number of people throughout Australia and elsewhere about the positive nature of EVP and that this other world is not necessarily a scary place to make contact with. And of course, James Van Prague, the executive producer of Ghost Whisperer, he used EVPs. I believe it was one of the American Association members' EVP. Yes. And he did it in a very positive light, didn't he? Episode 9, I believe it was. Yeah, he did actually. And what I like about that program particularly, not only does it introduce people to the possibility of afterlife every week, it presents a lot of these people who have crossed over as very human. And I think that's tremendous. So I think he's done a great service that way to see that people can often be still not only trapped or disillusioned where they are or not sure. I mean, it can be a pretty scary thing, I think, waking up dead and wonder where the hell you are. So I think that's what happened to a lot of the people on the show. And so it shows that there is this sort of physical world, spirit world interaction that can help both sides. And I've been doing a number of probably releases for people, and I find that even now that people are just grateful to have some communication coming through. And what do you mean releases? Well, I think we still get a lot of people who get stuck in their when they cross over, they're often disorientated and not sure where they are. I've been working with guides and that now a little bit, because I have sort of a spiritual team now that seem to help me and direct me to help direct these people to the light, if we use that phraseology, and to help them cross over. And I get a number of responses to say that so-and-so crossed over and thank you, blah, blah, blah. So
seems like this action on our behalf from this side is very helpful in helping others progress in their spiritual life.
You mentioned people who have negative experiences. It usually stems from their own fearful approach to EVP. So what would you tell people if they wanted EVP? Get out of that fearful approach. How? What should they do?
First of all, I would tell anyone who has any of the slightest fear or negativity about their life basically to leave EVP alone, because I think in more ways than not it can create more turmoil for the individual. Because I think good paranormal involvement is good psychology for many people, and good psychology for me is being very positive in one's outlook and not being fearful about what one is doing, because the fear becomes an energy that can be manipulated. So if you feel at all apprehensive about it, probably don't go there. If you feel excited about the possibility of allowing properly invisible people into your life in some way and wanting to communicate with them, go for it. And sit down one night, find a quiet room, get a recorder, say, this is so-and-so. If anyone would like to say a few words to me, I'll play this for 2 minutes, and then I'll play it back. Now, it could take some days, weeks, or even months for some people to get some voices through, but once the spirits know you're intentionally concerned, or not concerned, intentionally want to get involved with them, they will start to communicate, and then you'll start to record. So you just keep listening and keep an open mind, and especially a very open heart to this.
Interesting. Now, have you heard about the mobile phones that have been picking up voices? You answer the phone, it's Mum's number, but, you know, Mum's been gone for nearly 2 years now, and there's a voice there.
I've had one experience where we've actually, we had a message, we had a phone call, and I got a message on my voicemail from, that was an EVP recording. So I've had that directly, but I haven't actually picked up a phone and picked it up and actually heard a voice, but I certainly have one recorded. But I'm certainly aware it does happen. Again, they're an electronic device that entities can actually plug into if someone is sensitive enough to hear their message.
On one episode of Ghost Whisperer I watched, the ghost actually manipulated the car radio. Is that possible? Have you heard of that?
I haven't. There is studies going with direct voice recordings now, but that's still very much in its infancy. And there are people throughout internationally who are recording with direct voice, so they can actually talk and get a message back. But it still seems very difficult with our level of technology to keep that interaction going. But we certainly are progressing down that area. So I think, it won't be too long where we'll just be sitting down with other deceased members, I suppose, and just having a conversation like we do. But that's going to create an interesting little culture change for us, because in some ways we'll be probably far more aware that those who have passed on are still around us, and I think that'll change our nature and the way we interact with each other. Because I think what's come out of it for me, that if we need to be more positive about our life, we need to be less fearful, and need to see that our life is but a continuum process, that the physical life is just a very small part of our eternal journey. And I think that gives us a lot of opportunity to reflect on. I think this is a learning ground very much so. Relationship-wise, in our abilities to grow and change as individuals. We individuate here. We learn what relationships are, and I think that is a spiritual development process we're involved in, rather than a physical one.
Did you believe in the afterlife before this all started for you, or are you kind of here nor there, Albert?
No, I handle funerals like may the memory of your loved ones sustain you throughout your life, as far as I got in my funeral days. The memory of, not the reality of their existence.
So it must have been quite confronting when your mum basically said to you, I'm here, Robert.
Yeah. Hello, Robert. It was confronting. Nothing like that fitted into my mindset, and I just could not. It was complete and total bewilderment and bafflement at the time. I just could not accept it rationally. And a lot of this stuff, and that's why I probably set out the track on what I'm doing now, just to try and understand it. And I think it was basically because my mindset was too small. Had to open up to these possibilities. I've always been a very open person, and I don't live so much by belief as I do by what I can empirically reproduce. So that's important for me. there now. I won't believe what people tell me, but I believe what I can repeat myself when I find other people doing the same thing in different areas. So you share that around with a group of people.
Are there many people doing EVPs and looking for somewhere to talk about them and share?
In Australia, there's very few people at this stage who are actually putting their hands up and saying, look, I'm interested in doing it. I think I've had probably about 10 people to the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena who have made contact with me via email. But we have one or two conversations and then it sort of drops off. But look, I'm sure there are people here who are interested as well as people overseas. America has a far bigger involvement in these particular, if I use the term paranormal events. There seem to be far more people who are interested and involved there, but not so much here.
So if somebody does have an EVP and they want to contact you, how can they do that?
Well, I think that the best way is, Haunted Australia, your website offers a very good opportunity for people to post EVP on the discussion board and to discuss it. I have a Yahoo address, which is robevpau at yahoo.com.au. They can contact me on that, and I'll be very glad to respond to them and offer some guidance for people who are just starting out. But and also check out the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena. You've got some terrific articles on the front of their website as to how to commence and get involved. But I just want people to feel it's not a kooky thing. It's a very real science that people are getting involved with.
Because from what I understand, Rob, if there is enough interest, you'd like to start the Australian EVP.
I would be delighted to actually start an Australian Association of Instrumental Transcommunication, and I'll just abbreviate it down to which includes electronic voice phenomena. In other words, people who pick up voices or record voices that communicate through various electronic devices. And it'll be terrific for us over here to be able to develop that, yes.
Yeah. What do you think they get out of it, the entities who create the EVPs? Why are they doing it?
Basically, first of all, they're still attached very much to their physical families and life here, many of them, and so it's just a way of comforting their situation that although they got the shock of a new life there, they haven't completely divorced themselves from the people here. I think families are families no matter where they are, and I think there's a sense of wanting to belong no matter in what state we're existing. As I said, I think this is a learning opportunity here. People are learning about relationships, and so relationships, I think, after we pass on, become more significant than ever, and we need the comfort of people around us. And it's my belief that many stay close to our plane and guide and direct us and offer us direction. So I don't know, what do we get out of doing that? Helping others. I think it's just the basic nature of our being.
Yeah. What would you like people to know about EVP?
EVP is a terrific way of maintaining a relationship with a loved one, and it's a very freeing individual thing to be involved in. It's also terrific for your own. I think inherently we have a fear of death. We've had that we always seem to have that, which stilts the way that we live. If we were able to live without fear, or far less fear than we have, we'd be far more open and positive in the things we do in this life. And I suppose it's taught me to be vastly different and more positive in the life I'm living now, and not fear death so much as I did in the past.
So it's all good. Take away the negative that white noise and other things have portrayed. It's not a true reflection of EVP, and you've found a very healing experience.
That's exactly right, Lee. It's been healing for me. It's been liberating for me. It's made me excited about life, and so that's been my personal experience.
Okay, so Rob, if you get an EVP, it's not the devil talking to you.
Yep, no. I think there are more devils that seem to talk to me here in this world than they do on the other side. No, the devil, in my mind, does not exist. It's only our projection of our fears that creates these entities. My understanding of these entities have been very, very human and very willing to communicate and to share their positive experiences about where they are.
Have you ever had any negative EVPs?
I've had a few telling me to rack off, and I tell them probably had a lot to do with my mindset at the time when I was recording early on. But since I've seemed to have developed a group, I quite enjoy my communication with the spirits these days, and find it quite liberating and exciting and activating.
See, to me, it's like don't drive tired. It's like don't do EVPs if you're feeling tired, unwell, not of in.
I would suggest that there can be because spirit uses your energy levels. It's really good to feel fairly vital and be healthy and well and look after yourself, all that sort of thing. If you run down physically, you become more probably gullible and able to be manipulated if there's anyone there to manipulate you. But no, I'd suggest healthy people. It's a healthy pursuit for healthy people.
Great. Rob, I consider you the best in Australia for EVPs. You are, as far as I'm concerned, an absolute EVP magnet. It's been a joy to have you talk with us tonight. Your address again is Rob...
EVPAU@yahoo.com.au.
And you'd love to hear from anybody who...
I'd love to hear from anybody who's done anything in this area and who would like to share some of those experiences, and that would be good for me to get involved with those people.
All of Rob's EVPs, or I shouldn't say all, some of the very best of Rob's EVPs are on the Haunted Australia website. Go there, www.hauntedaustralia.com.au, and check them out. They are really, really good. Rob, thanks for joining us tonight.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to Lia and John, and thank you, listeners.